I can concentrate.
He was
I'm not
listening. He was
Ramsdale.
listening.
I was going to say, Terry, I feel like you're spot on with Ange, but I kind of feel sorry for Ange, and this is where it's going to go back to Enoch and Levy, because what he's doing is not actually wrong. It's the players he has at his disposal. Tottenham just don't have for me, their starting 11's good, but their squad isn't. So the way he wants to play, like you said, Terry, he doesn't have the players, but that's why he has to adapt. Because you know you don't have the players you need to make your system work.
Yeah. Well, we talk about player
there, Rums. There's a middle ground there.
Yeah, go on.
So I would describe Ange, and don't get angry, Rums, even though I don't know how you feel about this, but he really screams to me Jurgen Klopp. But he's Jurgen Klopp without Michael Edwards.
Okay.
Like Michael Edwards, no, you're gonna understand where I'm going with this. I'm not comparing the trophies or anything. He's just Klopp without Michael Edwards for me. I feel like every manager that tries to be very stubborn with the way they want to play football and they want to be very one-dimensional, you do need a genius behind it. Like, I don't think Klopp would have ever worked at Liverpool if he didn't have Michael Edwards finding gems like Mo Salah, like Mane, like Firmino, like all these players that he brought in. Because all these players were really brought in on a cheap until you guys obviously start spending the money and getting the Van Dijks and Allisons and that. I don't think Spurs is ever going to have a Michael Edwards. And I think
we had him before.
They actually had him.
We gave him.
I don't know what you mean, but I mean like right now with Ange, you know what I'm saying? Like Ange is not gonna get that back, and it's not even. To me, it's not even a money thing. Like I don't think you need to spend a lot to support a manager. I think you need to be a smart recruiter, because I've seen teams in the past where they really understand where this manager is going, and they'll find if you don't have the financial power to do it, which Spurs you can technically say Spurs do. They do have the financial power, but they're cheap. So even if they're cheap, you'll still find a way to kind of back this manager. And I don't think Ange is ever going to reach that. Like, if I'm being very, very honest with you, I look at Spurs, and I know people are going to say that's rich coming from me because I'm a United fan. I actually feel like no one is stuck at this moment more than Spurs. I generally do believe that, because I look at them and it's like, it's not a team that eventually is going to stumble into something that works because they're known for spending a lot of money. United are like that. United just been spending money, just been spending stupidly. The minute you get a decent manager with Ineos, you can argue that they could do something. I feel like we can actually end up being something. Spurs, I just don't see a world where Ange is ever gonna get that financial backing like a top club would, and I don't see where he's ever gonna adapt and be a manager that is a proper Premier League manager. Like, I look at Ange, he screams Serie A. He screams.
You know what it is, Staffy? I'll be honest.
Does not look like a Premier League manager at
No,
all.
but Staffy,
right now, what we're relying on, and I think the one thing Levy is right, and it's going to sound really shameless, it's really bad, but I genuinely think he's relying on the young crop of players to be the superstars for Tottenham, the likes of that are coming through right now. He's embarrassed.
Can I say something that's going to find?
Was he following the Arteta model?
He's trying to do a project. He's trying to do like in 3 or 4 years, Tottenham are going to be great. And I think, to be honest,
got a good academy at the moment.
I think Daniel Levy doesn't mind that. In Daniel Levy head, he's like, 5 years down.
Trust the process.
No, but can I tell you something? Can I tell you something, George?
No, you're right.
Let me tell you. So here's an issue with that, and I'm really not trying to be disrespectful, but it will be disrespectful towards your club. All that the project you think that you're doing, that's just to feed us later. I will be very honest with you. Yeah. Archie Gray, in 3 years, if he ends up being a good player, he's somewhere else. He's not going to be with Spurs. What's his name? Mickey Moore, because I've been hearing a lot about him. If he becomes a half-decent winger, he'll be somewhere. How do you change? I don't know. That's why I'm telling you, Henry. I'm honest when I say this. I feel like you're just stuck. I look at Spurs as the one club that I'm like, bro, I don't know where something changes. How are the fortunes going to change one day? I generally can't see it.
I get you. So to cut you tell, the only way it changes is what Spurs fans have been calling out. Levy has to sell, whether he does or not.
Romans, we spend a lot of money. We spend an awful lot of money. Daniel Levy is giving him £400 million. It's what we spend it on.
Wait, is that since he's been here?
Yeah,
but I think they have. But I think this is what it is, though.
I didn't know that.
I saw someone tweet this the other day, and I don't know who tweeted it. I just saw it come on my TL that basically was saying that. I mean, he hasn't won a major trophy bar in the FA Cup yet, but the trust the process situation with Arteta is causing a problem PR-wise for other clubs, because Ten Hag is playing on that tune. He is playing on the trust me, it's going to come good.
He literally says it.
Like it's like almost work. You can tell he's being coached into what he's saying. Spurs fans are now going to get this. We're going to do the Project Youth, and it will be spun like look what Arsenal have done. And if Arsenal win a major trophy this year, it's going to be even harder to stop it. But again, if Arsenal do win the Prem this year, if they do win the Champions League, bringing in a novice manager to start a rebuild, having the first 2.5 years they did, and going on to be Premier League champions, is the anomaly. It isn't the normality. And it's not going to... The idea that will happen for all of us if we just stick with the manager when he's doing a really bad job or appears he's doing a really bad job is unlikely. But the comparison's not even accurate, because the one thing you would say about Arteta, he was literally brand new as a manager. When you've got a coach who's been... Well, Ange has been a coach since he was in his mid-30s. He's been a coach 20 years.
Now. He's been managing for 30 years.
He's been a coach, yeah. He started really young, 20, 30 years. Ten Hag, been a coach over a decade. The situation is very... I think if Arteta now could take over Arsenal like back then, I think they would have improved a lot quicker, because you don't know what you don't know. And I think we need to be very careful as fans to not fall down that hole. Yes, you can trust a club rebuilding your club, and I'm trusting Ineos to do that. But if and when we sack Ten Hag, and we'll get into that, and we bring a manager in, I don't expect 3 months, 6 months, a year in, the football to either not improve or the holes in our setup to not be addressed. Like that, especially if the manager's experienced. And this is where I think fans have to have grown-up, sensible, balanced conversations. And I just look at Tottenham, and yeah, you're going to do a Project Youth now. But I still think with the way your owner's mindset works, that is to sell them at a profit in the future more than it is to try and become Premier League champions.
You think though, Terry, our ownership has proven over the last 10 years that that's not our model, because we've done so much not to sell Harry Kane. We've done so much not to sell Ericsson, so much not to sell Kyle Walker. We didn't want to sell any of these players. They forced their way out of the club to the point they knew
but that still made you the money. And the only one who didn't get out when he should have done, and it's his own bloody fault because he's soppy as a sack, is Kane. Kane actually believed the PR. Kane believed Ineos. He believed Enoch and Levy that you were trying to win. It's stupid. And I don't mean that.
I think one of the reasons, George, as well, sorry, Ted, I didn't mean that. I think one of the reasons as well, you were a consistent top 4 club for, I don't know, like growing up, Spurs wasn't making top 4 easy like that. They weren't making Champions League every year like that. I think you ended up putting a good crop of players.
Yeah.
Remember, there was like about 5-6 years, maybe 7 years, where you just made top 4 every year. And us older fans will remember that you weren't like that. And I think to you, that was you finally taking the next step in towards being a little bit of a bigger team. That's how you kind of made your way into the top 6, because you start making more money and you were consistent there. Whereas, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm really not trying to be disrespectful of Spurs, but if you allow yourself to slip down back to being that team that tries to make top 4 and doesn't, but you have good talent, you will go back to the top. Those times where you sell a Modric, you sell a Bale, you sell a Berbatov, you sell a Michael Carrick. That's what you were before that. And I feel like you're kind of slipping back to that, because it's you have money now, but if you're not no longer in that top 4 and you're not making that European money, then you might just go back to being that selling club that, like, hey, listen, we'll get good talent, we'll play good football, we'll be there and thereabout. We're not really serious about winning anything. So these players will find reasons to leave. And I
get you guys are pushing back against that, but let me ask you a question on it. You're saying that your club doesn't have the ambition to become winners, but you're also saying you're not a club that will, and all you care about is making money. But then you're also defending the fact that we think you might be buying these youngsters to sell them for money, not to try and win. I don't get why you rejecting that idea when it follows what you guys say about your club.
I'm rejecting the idea that I think Tottenham will be anywhere between 4th and 8th because of the turnover we've got of our club. We'll just be there or thereabouts, because we earn more money than any team in the league at the moment on a match day. The ticket gates are showing that. The revenue coming for the football club is ridiculous. I think.
Wait, what United?
Oh yeah, yeah. The only club that earned more in the last 2 years, I think, is PSG.
Wow.
It's because we're a London club, though, isn't it? So we charge London prices.
The NFL games and
F1 track, Lady
mate. It's like 38 quid for a pint at their stadium. Of course, they're making more money than everybody else. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, I think with the revenue you got coming in.
But can I interrupt you for a second, Henry? Though, can I interrupt you for a second? Though, you do realize with what you've just said, you haven't, George hasn't, And you know, on a real level, I know we all banter. I'd kind of like to see Spurs win for you guys. My dad, every.
You're going to talk about the PR and we're
brainwashed.
No, you're not brainwashed. You're not brainwashed. But your owners
call them cute.
You have one.
They just don't bother anyone.
Your owners have won because they're bringing in the biggest match day revenue in Europe. They have won. You know, I had this argument with United fans for years. Oh, the Glazers are dumb, man. We did it. No, they're not. They bought an asset for nothing, and eventually they're going to sell it for 6, 7, 8 billion. How can you call someone that turns nothing into billions of pounds whilst ruining it? How can you call that person stupid? It doesn't make any sense on any level. Your owners have won because their objective isn't to win the Premier League.
No, 100%, Terry. I think they've won as well because they're the type of owners that they're dangling the donut in front of our face whilst we chase it, but they're constantly moving it away. That's all it is. They're just dangling it in our face. We're going to win this next year. Next year is coming. And then next year it's, oh no, but next year we're going to be even better. We're going to compete even better next year. And it's just constantly, it's a constant cycle. I think our Spurs fans know it's the hope, innit? It's the hope that kills. And
that chant, but then you get the pizza, so all the calories you've burned off, right back to it. But the chant at the beginning of last season, this is when I knew you guys were doomed. We've got Tottenham back. As soon as I heard that at the ground, I was like, oh no. Like, you ain't got your Tottenham back until you're doing what Bill Nicholson was doing, bruv. Like, legitimately, I was like, oh no. As soon as I saw Henry singing that. Speaking of changes, I saw a video of one of the boys. I don't remember their names. I've met them. The boys from We Are Tottenham TV.
Right? Oh, you're not talking about the match game, the live.
Yeah, but hang on. I saw him at the game yesterday. Like, I saw his video. He shaved his head off. He's got like a shiny puffer jacket, and I was like, "Where's this?" He looks like a G. I was looking at him. He literally used to look like the most straight-laced. I mean, it's in a nice way, geek I've ever seen in my life. Lovely bloke. I've met him, and now he's got a shaved head. And he's got a shiny puffer jacket, and I was like, where did the villain arc? He looked like a proper villain, a real villain. Yeah, but we're gonna go to some super chats here. First one says there was an NFL game at Top Spur yesterday, and one of the NFL goats, Aaron Rodgers, had his worst game in 3 years. Spursy. Is this true?
To be fair, I will tell you this: if you want to know who's the most Spursy team in the NFL, just look up the Jets. You will understand the correlation between the Spurs and the Jets.
Really? I'll have a look. Hey, Drizzy George isn't wearing his do-rag. You know Spurs are struggling.
Look at his hairline right now. Struggling. Last time. Crazy.
Remember how after beating Quagmire with 10 men, George compared them to Brighton just to dunk on Arsenal, drawing against them with 10 men? Oh, mate. I know. Let's have a look here. This says we would have this back Chelsea early. We would have lost this game last year, one step at a time. Top 4 is our goal, nothing more. Don is delusional. He does not speak for all of us. We are not that club anymore. Big up everyone. Keep the blue flag flying high. Nomad said, sorry, I meant thanks to all of you. And yes, Staffy, you're right. I was kidding, Nobbins. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you clarifying that. Crazy how Tottenham always reach when will they learn chickens don't fly, just jump high to fall right down on their mugs. Come on, you gooners. It's true, chickens don't fly. Do chickens fly? I don't know. I suppose what is fly?
I thought cockerels fly a little bit, you know?
I thought, yeah.
No, they hover in it. They like hover across the.
Yeah, but what is flying? Because no bird can fly continuously. At some point, they have to land. Yeah. So I suppose again, I'm not going to Google what's the definition of flying because that's a weird thing to Google.
Maybe he means like Spurs fans just overrate their team in the sense of what type of team they are. No, I'm not even saying it like that.
They're not soaring like an eagle. They're like sort of flopping like a chicken. Yeah,
they're like just you as a club are meant to just be there flirting with the Champions League positions, but you guys now, after seeing the Champions League over the years, now feel like you should be a better team than you are, where really you should be like looking at it like you're Brighton.
Just a quick Google search. A chicken flies at average of 13 seconds, but that's more of a domestic chicken. Apparently, the wild ones can fly for longer. So there we go. We got an educational lesson on
That's how long
chickens
they can
today
be.
on the football
I
terrace.
was thinking about what is flight? Like, how long do you have to be airborne for it to be considered flying or jumping? I'd love to know.
Because the ones on the farms are a bit like big because they feed them a lot, so they can eventually they can't fly for more. But the wild ones apparently can fly.
Yeah, no, but
There
I
you
get
go,
it. What
guys.
I'd love.
The
Can you
chicken
Google
terrace.
this, Staffy? Google this. How long do you have to be airborne to be considered flying? I'd love to know what the definition. I know it sounds like a weird thing, but because
would it be maybe
I'm thinking
where you
about
could
the Hulk. The
stay?
Hulk can jump. The Hulk can jump really far, can't he? But is that flying? I don't know.
I feel like flying would be where you could stay still and still be in the air. Where you
No,
could
that's
be
hovering.
still.
But most birds can't.
yeah.
Most birds can't hover. Like hummingbirds and kestrels do, but eagles don't hover.
I guess when you're
we got
always
onto the
going
subject.
down, when you're always, when
Right.
everything's always moving back to the ground.
I
you're
care.
not flying.
I think it's important to know
I think
these.
it depends
Like,
how big their wings are and stuff like that as to how long they fly.
Yeah.
I think it's when you're going
Yeah.
towards the ground, like
Because
when
it's
you're
a
flying
great-
or not.
It was a great question because, like, does Batman fly? Because when he jumps off them buildings, now I think to fly you have to take off from the ground. It can't be gliding from the top of a building. But then some squirrels fly, don't they? Because they have those little flats. I don't know.
You know that. You know the irony of this all is that Spurs' crest is literally a chicken.
It's actually a cockerel, not a chicken.
It's literally cock and ball, man. It's so funny, man.
But it's one of the funniest videos that I made when I was at Gimme Sport, and it was called Cock on a Ball. And we went down to Tottenham Stadium, and it was seeing how long someone could put 2 feet on a football and stand on it and balance. Loads of people fell over. Some people did it. It was great. But before the show, Rocket, who used to do Soccer AM, was in the studio with us. And he went, I can do it. And he stood on the ball. And the floors, George has been to, most of you guys have been to the old studio. The floors were rock hard, concrete floors. And he stood on the ball and he slipped, went backwards, landed on on his shoulder blades, head and arms smacked on the floor. I heard the crack and I was like, I can't look round. I thought it was dead. Like he hit the floor that hard. But once I knew it was okay, I've never laughed so hard in my life.